Hello and welcome to MotorsPlus.com. What we have here today is the third generation VW Touareg. It's an improvement on a very tried and true popular SUV. It's a great family car, and I can say that freely because the one that you see in the background here is my second generation. So I'm actually liking this car, and this is a great improvement on it. The looks are consistent with the VW philosophy, design philosophy these days. We have the sharper edges than the second generation. We have a bigger grille, and we have clear lines that are consistent with the current philosophy. In the back, it looks a little bit more like an Audi than a VW. I'm not sure I like the back that much. It's definitely looking good, but it's not as great as I was expecting or hoping for. The car is wider, longer, just a teeny bit lower, shorter here, but not compromising any of the off-roading capability. We have here a lighter car. Even though it's longer and wider, it's about 100 kilograms lighter. And today we have the Highline. It has a 3.0 turbocharged engine, 340 horsepower, which is very decent for this size car, especially that it got a bit lighter. It's actually, we'll talk about the performance and the handling and the interior and everything. The interior has improved drastically. It's a very new car. It actually deserves to be VW's flagship. Let's go inside. Here we have the fancy digital dials, the 15-inch screen with beautiful camera, nice leather, a bit sporty. We have the shifter, which is a lot more resembling the Audi than a VW, very fancy here. The camera is very nice, actually, the rear view camera. We have the AC controls in the screen, which is a bit bothersome for us. Sometimes you want to jump into the AC and change it quickly instead of going into the screen. We have nice stitching on top here, pretty fancy, and we have silver lining on the vents, very nice. Now when you compare it to the old one, regular dials, 8-inch camera, it was nice leather, don't get me wrong. Shifter, not that fancy. Doing our performance test. AC off, sport mode. The best numbers that we got is 6.7 seconds. We're doing the brake test. 100 kilometers per hour, 40 meters, 80 centimeters. So as far as straight line performance is concerned, we're talking about a decent performer. 6.7 seconds, 0-100 is not bad. It's a bit hot today, 43 degrees, so you might get better results when you're normal weather. Now, this is the 3.0 340 horsepower engine. This engine gets 450 Newton meter of torque, which is not so bad. Not great, but not so bad. There's also the 2.0, the entry level engine. It's a 2.0. It gets 250 horsepower, which is not that good. 370 Newton meters though, which is actually pretty good for a 2.0. It's very impressive. You might lose a couple of seconds in if you do the 2.0 engine. So the transmission is responsive. It's not that great. It's not a BMW transmission. It's an 8-speed. It's responsive. Even in sport mode, it's not as responsive as the beautiful 8-speed BMW. it actually does not react very quickly when you slam your foot down. Now, braking 40 meters from 100 to 0, which is decent. It's normal for a car with good tires. It has this particular one has 20-inch wheels, which is actually very nice. So that's the straight line. Now, when we're talking about corners, the car actually corners a lot better than the previous model. It has a tightness to it. It's not as wobbly as the previous model. Again, it's not particularly a performance car or a sport car, but it does not have that sporty feel, but it's fairly predictable, and the handling was not bad at all. Now, as far as the comfort, it is actually a great improvement. We're talking about air suspension all around in the Highline. We're talking about better damping. It absorbs the bumps very well. You hardly hear the engine or outside noise. Very, very good sound insulation. A lot of comfort features here. Adaptive cruise control, but this actual vehicle did not come with adaptive cruise control, but you can order it as an option. There's also speed limiter. In Dubai, you're probably going to need that because basically it gets very expensive when you don't use speed limiter, when you don't pay attention to your speeds. It gives you approaching vehicle, like when you're approaching the vehicle in front of you, it gives you a warning, yet it does not have adaptive cruise control, so the car does not act on your behalf there. Having said that, it acts on your behalf in the lane keeping. So it does have lane keeping, it does have blind spot warning, but it does not have adaptive cruise control. You have to order it. So that's as far as the comfort is concerned. Now, conclusion. This is becoming hardly a people's car anymore. It's actually pretty premium. It's maybe not an Audi, but what's the big difference? I mean, we have total digital cockpit. The dials are digital. The shifter looks way more like an Audi than a VW. We're talking about beautiful leather seats. We're talking about air suspension. I mean, come on, this is not a people's car. You don't get a air suspension in a people's car. It's generally a very comfortable family car, and it's really pushing towards the premium. It's not a regular SUV anymore. It's way more than that. You're pushing. I mean, you're not reaching that, but you're pushing against the Audi, the GLE Mercedes, and the X5. You're pushing against them. If you're gonna get these with lower options, you might consider a Touareg with higher options for the same price, actually for way cheaper. Now, the Highline is at 230,000 dirhams, but it starts the entry level with the 2.0 engine is 195,000 dirhams, which is not bad at all, and the 3.0 starts at 207, which is actually pretty decent. You don't really get a car this quality and this size for these prices. I mean, they're less expensive than X3s and GLCs, so it's not, you get an upgrade in size and at least as good of quality. I would consider this car if you have a bigger family and you need something that is bigger than the lower mid-size SUVs of the X3 and the GLC. I would definitely consider that. And if you're interested in something bigger and you cannot afford something that is higher up, or you don't care about the logo, you don't care about the emblem, you don't care about the brand that much, I mean, granted, we gotta give it to BMW, Mercedes, and Audi. It's a bit of a statement, but if you don't care about that, this car delivers really good quality for about 60% of the price.